Welcome to the Uncensored Society podcast, where guests share their insights, experiences, and tactics to help you accelerate your business. So building, scaling, and monetizing your business is made easier. And now, your host, Kay Suthar.
Guys, oh my goodness, I have an amazing guest for us here today. Now, his name is Peter Parker, but we don't have Spider-Man. It's not Spider-Man before you say anything, but guess what? He is a superhero in his own right. Now, he used to be a professional musician. He toured all over Europe. He released albums. He was the who's who of British popular music. All of a sudden, he realized that mindset has a huge aspect on life and in business. He became an award-winning coach. He worked as head coach with Body and Brain in the UK. He now helps people understand why mindset is so important to success. So today he's going to share with us the importance of actually mastering mindset and how it can make all the difference to business. Please welcome our own superhero, Peter Paul Parker. Peter, it's amazing to have you here.
Whoa, so good to be here. Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. I'm sure you're talking about my alter ego, Spider-Man.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I was like, when I saw your name, I was like, hold on a second. This sounds like Spider-Man here, right? And I am a huge Marvel fan. I love superheroes. I wanted to be a superhero when I grew up. So I was like, just on that name, right? I was like, I need to know more about you and get you on the show. And it happened to be the fact that you are a mindset coach, right? And it's so important to learn and know how to do this and be successful at it if you want to be successful at business. So I had to have you on the show. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of what you do and how you do it and what you do for your clients, tell me a little bit about how you became a musician and then transitioned to become a mindset coach. Where did that come from?
A very interesting story. I had a very traumatic childhood. So I was carrying a lot of baggage, which we all need to heal from at some point if we got that as children. And I was sent into a very good education. So I went into sales actually first. And I realized I didn't really enjoy that because I was good at it because I was a personable human being. But it wasn't really helping me with my trauma and my anxiety and my stress. So I became a musician, and I found very quickly that I loved music. And I think everybody does really deep down inside. Everybody loves music. And I started thinking, I can do this. I can become a professional musician. So I literally gave up my sales job. I walked out of my mortgage and I said, right, I'm doing this. And it was like an enormous leap of faith I had, enormous leap of faith. But it was slightly different society that we lived in back in those days because you could pick up a job and pick up a bedsit anywhere really quickly. It was a really simple way of living. It's a lot different today. But I thought, I can't do this sales anymore. So I became a musician. I went to bass college and I started studying bass guitar. And I was starting to play with these really amazing musicians like John Etheridge from the jazz world. And I found that the improvisations that we had on stage were incredible. And that was like an enormous meditation for me. And I didn't realize that at the time, but I realized what I did realize was that it was soothing my stress and anxiety. And with music, because I was quite shy when I first became a musician, I could talk music all day. You know, I was really, this is great. And I really got into the bass. I got into the beginnings of the bass with James Jamerson, all those beautiful Motown songs that we hear. That was like my influence. And it went to Paul McCartney from the Beatles, John Entwistle. And I was learned all those different styles with reggae and all that. And it was brilliant. I had 10 years partying and enjoying myself, touring, having a great time, jumping from band to band, doing lots of session work, getting accolades along the way as well, which was brilliant. But it started to turn a bit seedy and nasty towards the end of the career. And it was like the music business was changing from rock, because it was all rock. I was a rock bass player, to like dance and more electronic music. So my session work in the studios was drying up. The opportunities to tour was drying up. And I sold an album. I actually wrote an album called Anna Harter and got it launched on New World Music. And the day of the launch, I found it being downloaded for free all over the world. You think, whoa, and then I looked into how much you earn, what you're expected to earn as a successful musician at that point in time. And it was like £5,000 a year. And nobody can live on that. Nobody can live on that. Not even the breatharians, I don't think, can live on that. It's just like crazy stuff. So I got into a bit of a crossroads there because I loved introducing myself as Pete. My name is Peter. I'm a professional musician. I loved it. It was my label, my tag. Everybody was interested in it. And to have to let go of that to move into something else was one of the hardest things. But that taught me so much about business, is that we hold on to things. We don't flow with business, and we don't flow with our lives. My mindset was stuck on being a musician, where I thought, actually, there's so much more I can do. And there's like an infinite road of possibilities there. So we went to a Mind, Body, Spirit show in Earls Court, because my wife is really into like the mind-body connection as well. And we had these photographs taken of this Kirlian. It's Kirlian photography. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's like a photographing your aura in a certain frequency, because our reality has different frequencies to it. We're in a very thin light, very thin spectrum frequency for our existence here. So this goes past that and actually shows the energy around your body, which sounds weird, but it's amazing when you see it. And hers was this beautiful golden and red aura. Mine was all moody and blue and purple, which is supposed to be esoteric. So she wanted to be more esoteric. So we walked around the corner to find another group that were doing this. And that's when I started talking to one of the masters outside the stall. And I was telling her, the typical victim story of, my music career's falling apart. I'm getting depressed and all this kind of stuff. She goes, this sounds really interesting. You should come along and do our training. So I said, okay, I'll go and give it a go. I'd studied martial arts before when I was in my 20s, just before I became a musician. So I wasn't worried about doing group exercise, where a lot of men are. And I think, get that out of your head straight away. Just get into the group exercises. And so I started doing it. I realized my stress and anxiety was getting really quickly resolved and soothed. But my trauma was taking a little bit more time, but it was still in there, really ingrained in me. So my teacher at the time, she said to me, go and teach these old people the Qigong that you're teaching at the moment. Well, you're not teaching, but you're learning here at the center. Go and teach the old people. And I thought, game mindset problem. I can't do that. What are you talking about? Go and teach them. This is all sort of what a lot of people think of as woo-woo stuff. And I'm going, how can I take this into elderly people's as an elderly people's center? So I said to myself, pull yourself together. What's the matter? You change your mindset, twist it. You've gone this far with this. Let's go and do it. So I started doing it and teaching them. And it's basically just teaching them about their body, their mind and body connection. And my goodness me, after about a few weeks, there was 6 regulars. And then after a month, it grew to 10. And after about 2 months, it was packed. The room was packed every week in, week out. And you could see the elderly now changing their attitude towards life and enjoying their life, starting to enjoy the twilight years of their life. Their health was starting to improve. There was a lady there who had arthritis. She couldn't really open jars. She started opening jars for herself again. And I went, oh, my goodness me, what is this? What is this? And it's really simple stuff. It's not like some of these meditation coaches or mindset coaches are like really, this is all really mysterious and you have to learn all this mysterious stuff. No, you don't. You don't. You keep it really down to earth. You back it up with modern science, which is really making leaps and bounds in the mind-body connection now. And I was just doing that with them and it became so successful. I thought, okay, this is it. I'm going to change career. So I got some money together because I realized as a musician, if you don't have the tools in your toolbox, you have to go and get them to get what you want, to get to be where you want to be. So it was a big swallow for me to say, okay, I'm going to spend £2,000 on a course. So I did it. And the weirdest thing was, as soon as I made that intention to do it, a check came floating in from out of the blue into my letterbox, into my flat. I was living over in Staines at the time, £1,500. So I only had to find another £450 to do it. And I went, this is just amazing. So I went on that first course. Then I went on another course, it cost me £3,500. Then I went another course, which was £5,500. And the money just started to turn for me. Just started to turn around. It was rather than scrimping and scraping, look at all the figures and go, oh, these figures aren't working out. You let them flow. Let it flow. And when it flows and gets bigger and bigger. And you don't worry about thinking, oh, well, that costs £5,500. It's not a cost. It's an investment, especially when it's in yourself. So important to get that mindset right. And I put all this stuff into what I was doing. And all of a sudden, I've gone from teaching in an elderly people's home, community centre, to I did a speech for the Care and Quality Commission on mind-body connection and how to strengthen it at the Royal Society. There's me speaking in front of all these people who look after the NHS thinking, what am I doing? It's like amazing. But I did it. And then I started going into schools and teaching at schools. One school actually got me with 160 children in a room. Well, actually, there was 80 children and 80 children from the ages of about 9 to 14. And I did like an hour session with each of them. And I was surprised at the outcomes of that as well, how their minds changed. And they all came up to me afterwards, or many of them came up to me afterwards. I'm going to go and teach this to my parents now. So I went in and did this with the school where I'm teaching them the techniques that I was giving them so they could do it for the children every morning, so that they had a better mindset, a clearer sort of consciousness to get on with their work. And it was amazing to see the changes in people in 1 hour. And then I went on to doing that with companies. I've been going into companies in my local area and doing short sessions. I actually did it with Haymarket as well, the big advertising company, about 4 or 5 years on the trot before lockdown came and stopped everything. But it was just seeing this simple stuff that I was teaching, changing your mindset, because we get stuck in the emotional hurrah of life. It's like, oh my goodness. And it's all to do with your chemical reactions in your body. And what happens physically, if you don't clear those chemical reactions up and they start coming up into your head, you get fogginess and you can't see the opportunities that are in front of you. And that's what the training that I do really does. It just helps to clear all of that up, whether it's emotional trauma or just, well, it's growing up in this world is traumatic in itself. It's not really traumatic. You think, oh my goodness, what a world. So it's just cleaning all of that up and not focusing on that. Was one of the major takeaways I would give to people today if they're starting up a business, is where your mind goes, your energy follows. Really important concept. And people go, yeah, it's fine. And then you start talking to them, they go, oh, what's happening in Ukraine? I said, where's your mind at the moment? It's in Ukraine, or is it on your business?
Yeah.
Is it on your, so where your mind goes, your energy follows. So yes, it's important to know about the world affairs and what's happening and how it's affecting you. It is important, but if you're focusing on it, that's where your mind is. If you're focusing on your business, that's where your energy goes. And where your energy goes, that's where the magic starts to happen. But you just need to work out on how the best way of focusing your energy on your business. Because if you're focusing on from all these chemical reactions that are in the body, it all looks really, oh, God, I can't do that. It's all impossible. And no opportunities arise for you. Whereas you clear that all up, clear your mindset up. This is what I want. This is where I'm going. Not even setting a goal, but creating a vision. And then you write a letter back to yourself when you've created that vision, saying thank you very much for the human being that you were before you got to that vision. And then you're working towards that rather than the goal. A goal is like you're pushing, forceful. Whereas you do the vision is power. You're using your power. And we call it in our Qigong practice, the lower danjiang, which is where your power and your passion comes from. And it's like where your one-to-one relationships come from as well, and your connection to your community in the earth. Once you clean all of that up and all the physical reactions or chemical reactions, I should say, are like cleaned up so they're pure, my goodness me, does life look completely different. And it's a wonderful place to be. And I want everybody to be here so that they're sovereign, independent, happy, smiling, think, yeah, my business is great. So that's what I want. So that's my story. That's the story. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. Now, you just in that little bit, you packed so much information there. And so I want to go back a little bit with a couple of things that you mentioned. Now, you said that, when you first were kind of investing in yourself, £2,000 was a lot, right?
Felt like
a lot of people struggle with that, right? They're like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money to be putting into a course, right? How did you get around in your own mindset and tell yourself, no, this is what I need to do to get to the next level? Because I know so many people struggle with it. So helping others kind of get past that and realizing they need to invest in themselves is so important. But what are the steps they need to take to realize this is important?
The biggest thing that got me to realize that is, what do you need to be successful? Do you need the will or the means? Is it the will or the means? So say if I have to find £4,500 for a course, do I need the means or is it the will to go and get it? So it's getting your will to go, I want to do this because I want to be in this position. And that course is so valuable to me. I need to find the will to do the course. And when you get the will together, the means will fall into place. So that's the most important thing. But it's the fear. It's the ultimate. Oh my God, £2,000. You've got to be kidding. I can't give you that. You're not giving anybody anything. You're investing in yourself. And that's when you spend more money on a course, you take it a lot more seriously. So if you give people stuff for free, yeah, I did it to me. Yeah. If you spend £2,000, £5,000, £6,000, £7,000 on a course, you go, okay, every moment you spend with your coach is like precious. Every time you go into that course, it's precious. So you put a pressure, you make that really special, that you are learning this to take you to the next level. And then when you look at £2,000, you go, that's not very much. Why are you so cheap? It's like, because I do. I do a lot of work in the sort of mind, body, spirit arena. So I do keep my costs really, really low. But I find it where I is high ticket offers I do as low as I possibly can to make me a good living and give them the best value that I possibly can. So that's how I look at it. But there's no reason, if you're in a business to business or business to person, sort of people coming to your business to get from you, to learn how to be business wise, there's no reason why you can't say, well, you come on this course, you're going to start making a fortune, which is what I had when I went on a marketing course. And they said, you can have your money back if we don't get you to this certain amount of money. And well, that sounds really fair. And sure enough, I've been doing that marketing course, and it's been like, these people are great. So, but to answer your question, really, is just getting over that initial fear and making sure this is what you really want to do. Because you wouldn't think twice about spending £2,000 on a luxury holiday. You wouldn't think twice about spending £2,000 on a beautiful car. You wouldn't think twice about £2,000 on a sofa. But why won't you spend £2,000 on yourself? That is really what we got to start to look at, because it's your low self-esteem, it's your low value of yourself. And I do it with Qigong exercises where we do like open fists and palms, get people to push their hands out like this. And as soon as they come back into their body and do it, most people find it really difficult, especially the elderly. Younger people, not so much, but they still find it a little bit different feeling, tapping back into your body. Because the way we're brought up, especially in the West, not so much in the East, but in the West, we're taught our mind to go out and our mind doesn't come back in. So we don't value ourselves as much as we should do. We love our smartphones and we love our computers and laptops and we love our games, but we don't love ourselves. So you need to start to love yourselves and use the tools. Like your smartphone is just there it's a tool. You don't need to adore it and love it and praise it. It's just a tool, and you need to love and adore yourself to say, I'm worth spending £2,000 on me. Because you wouldn't think about doing that on somebody you love, like your parents or your husband or your wife. You wouldn't think twice about it, but you'd think twice about spending it on yourself. And that's where the mindset needs to really twist back onto yourself, not narcissistically or sociopathic type sort of feeling. It's a nurturing feeling of yourself. And when you go into what I call the energy body and the chakra systems, which a lot of people go, it's all woo-woo stuff. And I don't care what people think, But when you work with them, you realize that your lower three chakras are completely shot. And once you got to your root chakra, which is your connection to your earth and your community, your second chakra is usually to do with your one-to-one relationships. But the most important one is the third one, which is your solar plexus. And that's to do with the willpower and your sense of I am. This is you. This is a lot of people in the new communities that are cropping up who are into all of this stuff. They're calling that the first brain, which is you. And that really gets you into problems because it's all messed up. You haven't got any sense of purpose. You haven't got any sense of push or power. So your second chakra is not giving you the power to push you forward. It's all acquiescence and excuses and what we call victim type consciousness rather than master consciousness. So it's just flipping that and turning it from, okay, why did that just happen to me? Why did that just happen to me in the business? So I released my product, say the latest product I've got, the Dream Method, and it was a complete disaster. It was a complete disaster. And I think, oh my God, rather than going, oh, right, well, that didn't work, because I knew it's on the process that I took to get me to where I am. This is going to work, but what is wrong with it? So I spent all this money on this marketing course, and I realized it was what you would call your avatar, the person, your ideal client. Who do you want to speak to as an ideal client? Who is your ideal client? And mine was like, oh, I want to help everybody. And that is complete rubbish. That is absolutely rubbish. So I narrowed it down. I went to highly sensitive people because I am a highly sensitive human being myself. And there's about 20% of us who are like really highly sensitive. And we've, in our lives, people say to you, oh, you think too much, or you're over emotional, or you're this, or you're that. And they think, no, I'm not. I'm actually seeing this for what it is. Maybe you're not seeing it the way that I'm seeing it. And it's given me that confidence now to stand up and say, yeah, I'm highly sensitive, but I'm not touchy or over sensitive about what you feel about me. In fact, I'm not worried at all what you think about me anymore. It's because if I'm worried about the way that I'm acting or being as a human being, then I need to work on myself. So it's doing the internal work is so important when setting up your life or a business. And then it's not what other people think, it's what you think. So when I started getting clients, goodness me, did I love those clients? Did I nurture them? Did I bent over backwards to make sure that this course worked for them? And then I was bending over backwards to keep working in the backgrounds to say, how can I improve this for them? How can I improve it? And I'm still doing that today, even 2 years after the launch of the course. And more people now are coming through it. And it's like, you're seeing the beautiful changes in human beings. And that's how diligent you have to be with your business when you start it up. Firstly, we say there's five leadership qualities in the Tao philosophy that I abide by. The first one is integrity. When you say you're going to do something, you do it to yourself, to your client, to anybody. You do it. You never back off. And even if it's detrimental to you, you do it. Otherwise, you have or you lack integrity, and no one will come near you if you don't have integrity. The next one you come down is diligence. You are mindful of everything that you're doing. Really, really important, especially in business, mindful of what you're doing. So you're watching it really closely to make sure that you're doing not just the best for yourself, but the best for the people that you're serving as well. And it comes down to responsibility. You are responsible for the failures of your clients coming through your course. You are 100% responsible for that. 100%. If they don't get what you're offering them, that's your fault, not their fault. You make sure when they first come into your course, are you going to do this? And if they don't, they say, well, yeah, probably not good enough. Are you going to do this? Yes. Great. Let's work. The responsibility. Then courteous. Be courteous to everybody, even the people who mess you about. And that's the hard one. That's a real mindset change for me, because you just want to scream at it and go, what the heck are you doing to me? Why are you treating me so badly? No, you're still courteous, but you say, well, this isn't for you. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And especially if you set up a business, say with discovery calls or calls where you're actually bringing the leads to you, doesn't matter whether they say yes or no, you still treat them with the same love and respect, always. And then you become a better name. You have a better energy, a better vibration about you, rather than go, oh, what an idiot. Why they can't see what I'm offering? What's the matter with them? No, you say, okay, if this is not for you, I really do sincerely hope you find what you're looking for, but mean it from the heart. And so courteous, always courteous. And the last one is trust. And that's not trusting the people, not just the people who are coming to you, trusting yourself, which is trust means, I think it's the Latin word intuare, which is your intuition. Trust your intuition. When you feel something is right, do it. When you feel it's wrong, look where that lack of trust is with it. So they're the 5 words that we learn from our leadership qualities of being a Tao master. Is like it's like integrity, diligence, responsibility, courteousness, and trust. 5 pillars that you should really set your business up and set your life up as. And when you go with those and you stick to them, because you have to, because you have integrity now, you gotta stick to them. Things will start to fall into place for you. If you like half baked stuff and like, yeah, well, I'll just budget that, you're not being diligent. You know, I see a lot of people setting up business and they go, yeah, I'm going to do this, It's all exciting to be an entrepreneur or being their own boss. And then they're not really diligent and they're not really having too much integrity because they're just not doing what they say they're going to do. You got to do you got to do what you say you're going to do. You really got to do it. And that's when the magic starts to happen and life starts to change. It happened with me as a musician. I remember letting go of things, like letting go of the control of everything, letting go of trying to be secure, letting go of the looking for recognition for myself. I just let it all go. And then all of a sudden, it all changed. I was being recognized and I wasn't looking for it. I was in a safe place and I wasn't looking for safety. And I was kind of in control of my destiny, but I let go of the control of it and just went with the flow of it. And everything completely changed there. And I can look back now and see the opportunities that I had. Even then, I was blinkered. And I could have really, really done so much more in the music business with the things that I was doing, like going out to meals with publishers. I was a very good songwriter and not really using that opportunity by coming home, working on why my songs weren't working, and then giving them to the publisher and they would have flown. But I didn't do that. I just kept writing with the same formula. And it was Einstein who said you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. It's the definition of insanity. You have to shift your mindset. Once you shift your mindset, if I'd have done that as a musician, things would have been different today. But I don't regret it. But these are the things that I've found to get me to where I am today, which is a lovely place.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. And do you know what? One of the biggest takeaways that I'm hearing from you is that when you invest and you give yourself the opportunity to grow, all of a sudden you give yourself a different perspective, right? So when you was a musician and you didn't realize the different opportunities that you had, it's not until you started growing that you realize and you reflected back like, oh my goodness, how much more could I have done?
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the magics that comes with actually investing, growing, and allowing yourself to be open to different opportunities. So I love that, Pete. So that's awesome. Now, There is one other question I have for you. Now, you mentioned, letting go. So many people have, or struggle with letting go with different aspects of whatever's happened in their life, right? Some of it might be really, really bad. Something might be really small, or, they're holding grudges and they don't trust because of all the things that have been happening in their life. Like, how do you let go?
So it's called forgiveness. Forgiveness is the hardest thing ever. And it's forgiveness. I was when I went over to Korea with the British Qigong team, and we actually won the international competition. But I was over there and I was doing, they said it's like a meditation to heal your childhood wounds. And I thought, I've done so much work on myself, spoken to so many people, spoke to counselors, done lots of internal work with the Qigong and the mind, body, spirit work that I've been doing. I thought I'd done most of that. So anyway, I went into the cave and I started to do this meditation. Felt like I was going through a time capsule, remembering all these different times when I'd actually healed myself from these traumas. And then it suddenly came to me, this one hit me. And I thought, oh my, I hadn't seen this for 30 years. 30 years I've been sitting with this. And it was when my father died. And my two eldest brothers, who are half brothers, they divided the estate out. And because it was so foggy and I was so traumatic at the time, I was 19, so still really a baby. They'd set themselves up with houses. One of them became a chiropractor. The other one became an airline pilot in America. And the four younger brothers got nothing. They got nothing at all. And I'd been harboring that and never actually brought that issue up at all with anybody in my family, never really thought about it until that moment. And I'd realized that I was so angry about that. So I just put my hand on my heart and said, you must have been in such a terrible position to actually do that to your younger brothers, but I forgive you. You must have been in such a terrible position. So to answer your question, what do you want to do? Do you want to be in the melee of life of battling with these other people who are doing you bad things? Or do you want to rise above it and say, for you to do that, you must be in a really bad position? And that's how I've kind of come past that and gone over it. It's like riding a wave, and you can observe your emotions, because at the end of the day, who's observing all of this, right? If you think about it like this, you have an emotion of anger. How long does that last for? Maybe a while, but you're observing it, right? You have an emotion of love. Again, you're observing it. You have these thoughts that get offered up to you all the time. You observe them and you say, wow, that's a really nasty thought. Where did that come? Why am I thinking about that? And that person is offered up to you. Is it you, though? Is it you? Are these thoughts you? Are these emotions you? Are these feelings you? When they're gone tomorrow. Whereas you're still observing these new lots of thoughts and feelings and emotions that are coming up. All these negative things keeping you in your comfort zone. They're not you. You're just observing them. And then once you start to realize that, you've got different elements to your bodily setup. And we call it, in the Vedas, they called it the charioteer. And this is really important because it just shows you what you were just asking is about the complex nature of a human being and how we can get past all of this. Is you've got the five horses pulling the chariot, and they're the five senses, like your vision, your taste, your touch, your vision, your senses, and your mind is the reins going into the five senses. So the horses can throw up to the mind lots of different things, and then that the reins of from the horses go to the driver of the chariot, which is your intellect. So your mind is throwing up to your intellect all this stuff. It's usually rubbish, absolute rubbish, but it keeps throwing it up. And you're going, okay, and then your intellect would take it on board. But your intellect is surrounded by the chariot, which is your ego and your sense of persona. So you can polish it up as much as you like, which is a lovely thing to do. You should look nice and respectable. And you should give yourself a good persona as a human being. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with wearing quality clothes. So you polish that up, but your ego and your intellect are often battling with each other, because your intellect's very cutting, and it will cut and cut and cut and cut and cut until there's nothing left, and cut all your bridges out if you allow your ego to kick in and try and stick in its little comfort zone. So you need to allow your ego to let go of the ego. So it's not your sense of self, it's a sense of, where's this going to take me? And then that's where the trust comes in, the five pillars of your being a successful leader. Trust in the process. You'll know when something's wrong. If you allow your ego to say, well, there's something wrong with this, then there probably isn't something wrong with it. It's just you. It's just your ego trying to keep you in your comfort zone. And your comfort zone, you can sit there and you can be there for the rest of your life, and you'll be miserable, really miserable, because you won't be doing anything. No, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. And then behind that, what they say in this scripture is your observer consciousness, something that's just watching it all the time, and it just monitors it. And what I teach is try to get more in contact with that observer consciousness. Some spiritual practices call it the soul, whatever you want to call it, your life's force. In the West, we call it the life force energy. And that's just observing your every action, from your charioteer, which is your intellect, or your ego, which is the chariot, or the mind. It's just observing everything. And if you can decide what you take on and what you don't take on. So if a thought crops up, you don't have to take it on. Again, I'll go back to that see what I mean now? Where your mind goes, your energy follows. So your mind goes to this thought that crops up. Oh, I can't spend £2,000. I can't do this. And then you're going into victim consciousness. You're allowing your five senses to run off and just go somewhere else rather than actually going in the direction you want to go into. So that's how I describe the human condition. So none of this is you. They're just elements of you. None of it is you. Your mind, your intellect, your ego, they're elements of you. What is you is the life force behind all of that, which is just observing it. And that's a very deep spiritual concept. But if you look at many, many successful people like Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, or there's a film called The Secret, which I think is really not right. It's not, you don't just think about what you're doing, because a lot of people go, well, I've sat there and I thought I'm going to be a successful entrepreneur. It's a bit like having hope with no action. We can all sit there and hope. Yeah, I hope I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Yeah, it's not going to happen. No way. You need action behind all of this. And that's where, when you connect more with your observer consciousness, you can see the actions you need to take rather than being waylaid by the mind and the intellect and the ego that will be telling you all these different stories, and you're having this enormous fight inside of yourself to where you want to go. And you go, what are you doing? This is what happened to me. It's going, what are you doing having this fight? And there's another ancient sort of story about two wolves fighting inside of you. And there's a good wolf and a bad wolf, which is all it sounds really obvious. And the good wolf is the love, empathy, drive, passion, doing new things, adventures. The other one is jealous, anger, wants to keep you in the same place and keep you bitter and sort of small. And it's the one that you feed, is the one that wins the fight. It's always the one that you feed. So where your mind goes, your energy follows. These all sound like really simple concepts, but how many of us actually do it? How many of us actually do it? Where your mind goes, your energy follows. If it's on your business and you need new tools in your business, £2,000 is not a lot of money to go through to get you to the tools that you need to create the business that you want. And to create the business that you want is a dream lifestyle, but it's not, people get mixed up with the money. Oh, the money's going to save me, or it's actually doing the work is going to be the fun. The money comes as a byproduct. Doing the work and actually working out all of this for yourself, or whether you get help with it, doesn't matter. That's where the fun is actually getting up in the morning and go, right, how can I serve this person better today? Which is what I wake up with every morning. How can I get this better? How can I make this better for them? My clients and the people that I work with. How can I make this class better that I teach? Because I do a lot of teaching outside as well with Qigong. And it's always going over in my mind, how can I make this better? How can I make this better? And then when I turn up, people recognize me. People love me. People want me around all the time. And I'm thinking, I can't be around all the time because you'll tire me out. But I'm here now. Let's enjoy this moment now. And it's a different world altogether. Whereas when I was a rock musician, at first I used to love all the thousands of people cheering at you, saying your band is amazing, and you're thinking, I took it for real at that point, and it's not really real. That's more because as soon as the band finishes, they're off. But with what I'm doing now, when you start to change people's lives by being a coach, or when you're setting up a business, which is what you're doing, you're offering to change an element of their life. That's when the gratitude and the recognition come back to you. And that's what feels amazing. And that's what's amazing about this life, that we can all intermingle with each other and share this great stuff, because it is all great stuff. And all we're doing is from the media and all the politics and all the countries and everything's there to divide us. Don't focus on that. Focus on what you want and how you're going to serve other people. Human beings are amazing, multifaceted, complex beings. And we need to appreciate that as well. We're all different. We're all looking at the same picture, but from a different viewpoint. So I love the story of there's a Korean, or it could be anywhere in the world. There's a villager who's always saying, I'm going to go up and speak to that master. I'm going to go and speak to that master one day and ask him to become enlightened, which is kind of like a buzzword in today's world. So he wants to be enlightened and live a better life. And then one day he eventually gets the courage and goes up to the house in this idyllic place in the middle of the mountain. And he knocks on the door and he says, I'd like to meet the master of the house because I want to become enlightened. So this little man is impeccably dressed, really clean, takes him through the house. House is simple, but it's got wonderful stuff in it, really prized, you could tell, prized possessions in it. And he's walking through this house going, wow, this is simple, but beautiful energy to this house. So he walks through the house, goes to the back of the house, and the man just says, you can walk round the house and go back down the path back home to your village. He goes, but I want to meet the master. He says, everyone you meet has something to teach you. Everyone you meet has something to teach you. Doesn't matter what it is. Whether you think they're lower, higher, middle to you, whatever, it doesn't matter. Everybody has something to learn from somebody else, which is why we need to open up with each other and say, I don't know how to do that. So if you want me to help you do it, we exchange energy. So I'll give you this, you give me that. So £2,000 is an energetic, I don't know why I've chosen that amount today, but £2,000 is not that much energy when you're getting what I'm going to give you. That's how we got to look at it, rather than thinking, oh my goodness, there's so much money. And it isn't. In the grand scheme of things, money is just an energy, and it's just a way of transferring energy between human beings. And we used to have communities and things like that, but you can build your community around yourself through your business. And that is the exchange of energy through that business is called money. And that's how it is, rather than exchanging energies through conversations or giving people meals or bartering and all this kind of stuff. It's just money. And then you look at it in the right way, rather than being this evil thing that you've got to hold on to for grim life. Let it flow through your life. Let it flow, and it will flow. And then you'll flow with it. And you'll think, oh, £2,000, nothing. I'd spend that tomorrow on a course if it was going to make me go to the next level. That's the mindset to have on it, rather than thinking, oh, so much money, I can't do it. It's like a holiday, isn't it? Like we said earlier,
yeah. You know what, Peter? That is amazing stuff that you've just given. Like, it's been mind-blowing. Like, everything that comes out of your mouth is some more value. Oh my goodness, there's so much for people to be getting on with, for sure. But I know, Peter, at this point, people are like, how do I get hold of him, right? If I want to work with him, how do I get hold of him? So where can people contact you?
I've got a website. If you want to go on the course, it's called the Dream Method. I gear it towards people with emotional childhood wounds, but it's open to anybody who wants to do it, who wants to change their mindset. And that's at peterpaulparker.com. So don't forget to put the Paul in. Otherwise you get this groovy guy with this tight spandex suit on looking like Spider-Man. That's not me. I'm the other superhero. I'm the one with the Paul in the middle. So peterpaulparker.com. And there's a webinar there, and it goes through a lot of these teachings. And there's a method there. I've got a 5 stepping stone method to clear up all of this stuff that's in our body, like our emotional problems, our conditioning, and how to reset your nervous system, how to reset yourself, how to just, when you're feeling a bit stressed in the face, you just go, and you're not scared to do things like that. You're just not worried about anything anymore. And it's freeing you from all this conditioning, all this thing, well, what they're going to think about me. It's just getting rid of all of that. And I help people do that. And a lot of people who come through to me, they do set businesses up after I've finished with them. And I've got great marketing knowledge and great marketing wisdom as well, because of the course that I've been on, which was really comprehensive. I've helped people get books together or get a little business together. Somebody's recently just set up a meditation circle, and they're going around their local area making nice money now. Thank you very much, because of going through the course that I've been through. So it's like learning little body hacks and mind hacks to stop you thinking about this garbage in you. Unfortunately, it's there, and we need to clean it up. So peterpaulparker.com is really the one, or peterpaulparker.co.uk. And that goes through my Qigong as well as the Dream Method that I offer. So I'm only offering that really at the moment, the Dream Method. but it's so comprehensive. I don't think I'll ever change that. I keep building on it, and keep making it bigger and better, because it does change people's lives and change people's perspective on this world. And I do know deep down inside of myself, when more people become conscious with their own life and their own business, this world will transform anyway. We'll realize that we're just human beings together on this planet. There's no need for these wars and this destruction and this skullduggery and corruption that's going on everywhere. There's no need for it, because we're starting to build our own parallel community alongside that. And that's what's happening with entrepreneurs now. And that's what you need to tap into that energy, because it's happening. Because a lot of people haven't got trust. And it's if you go through those 5 levels, integrity, diligence, the ones I went through, people will trust you. And my clients go, oh, Peter, I trust you. I trust you're doing the right thing for me. And you think, oh my goodness me, for someone that you've just known for like coming into your course to say that, you think, goodness me, I've cracked it. I've got it. And I want that for everybody else, so that they're not sitting there worried about going, oh, I'm not sure whether I can help you or not. No, you can. You've set the business up. You know exactly what you're doing. You have the 100% confidence in what you're doing. You can look them in the eye and say, yeah, here you go. So peterpaulparker.com or peterpaulparker.co.uk. And I'd love to hear from you. Any questions you got for me on any of this, I'd love to hear from you. I do respond to everything. I am a one-man band, as it were. So it's just me. And I do respond really quickly, because I've sorted my time out. It's good the way that I work. And it's like I say, with my courses, I don't charge top dollar, which I could do as a high ticket course. I try and keep it fair and introduce people into the community. So I do choose who I work with. So if you come along, you think you can pull the wool over my eyes and do a half-baked job trying to get onto the course, you think it's going to make you bigger and better, I don't take people on. So I'm really discerning. And really, the idea of setting up a business is that you do want to serve other people. You don't want to make $1 million. You want to serve 1 million people. And that $1 million, that £1 million will come flooding in, and the rest. That's how it works. And it's that mindset to change. So you can book a call with me once you've gone through the webinar, and you can talk to me and say, oh, I saw you being interviewed with Kay in that wonderful podcast that you were on. So yeah, you can do that. Go to peterpaulparker.com and go through the webinar. Webinar is good in itself. It will show you the 5 steps that I use to get you there. And you can do it for yourself, but I needed help. I was reluctant to spend that £2,000. And when I did, everything changed. And it's not that much. It's not that much. So.
All right, brilliant. Guys, everything that Peter has mentioned, the links, the website will all be in the show notes below. So make sure that you go scrolling down and get those links if you've missed it. But Peter, thank you so much for coming onto the show. It was amazing having you. So many golden nuggets. Thanks again.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Uncensored Society podcast at www.uncensoredsocietypodcast.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get this and every other episode that's coming out. We have lots of great stuff coming, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And thank you in advance for all the reviews and comments. I appreciate it so much, and I look forward to serving you in next week's episode.